Previously on the adventures of Rick Whiskey. It was the first day of my new life. A bullet lodged itself into my brain, turning my existence into pitiful ash. But like a phoenix, I have risen with the help of a local medicine man. As payment, I dealt with the town's powder ganger problem before moving on down the road in search of the man who afflicted me with this 9mm hangover. I ended up in Prim, who were dealing with their own plague of powder gangers. It would have been a dead end, if not for a cowardly deputy captured by the escaped convicts, who had kept tabs on the men I'm desperate to find. Deputy Beagle revealed that their old sheriff was brutally slain in his home, leaving the humble town without any way to defend itself. These folks are no use to me, locked away, fearing for their life, so I took it upon myself to bring law and order back to Prim. I convinced the disgraced Sheriff Myers to take the reins in Prim, but he came with a catch. He needed a pardon from the NCR, as he was still serving his sentence for crimes he committed during his last stint as a lawman. Myers is far from perfect, but he's the best chance Prim has at restoring themselves to former glory. The town is alight with rambunctious joy as a new sheriff is installed and already hard at work cleaning the streets. It's time for a drink. Or two. Deep inside the Vicky Advance Casino, the bar welcomes any and all to its warm embrace. Waddling up to its counter, I treat myself to the nearest bottle and get to work. There's a certain magic after the sun goes down, ushers in the night. Like a tear in the fabric of time, all things are frozen and unmoving. Still and silent, everyone is asleep. There's no one to bother and no one to bother me. A beautiful void between days where everything is quiet and nothing hurts. Have I been sitting here for 5 minutes or 5 eternities? It's impossible to tell. But then things got blurry. Where am I? This doesn't look like Prim. Oh God, my head. Where did all these caps come from? And where are my pants? Maybe it's best not to ask any questions. Quarry workers in their makeshift shack surround me as I gather my bearings. On the bright side, no one seems particularly disturbed by a half-naked man washing up on their shores from a sea of booze. I'll try to get the attention of whoever I can.
Hold up. There are death claws all over the damn place north of here. I'd turn back if I were you. If you want to get to New Vegas, you're better off heading east from Prim and then looping north. It's a heck of a lot safer.
Oh great, just my luck to drunkenly stumble to the foot of a deathclaw nest. Where'd the deathclaws come from?
They moved into the quarry after the powder gangers came through and made off with most of our dynamite. We shut the quarry down while we waited for the NCR to get us some more blasting sticks, but now the deathclaws have shown up. The NCR's a no-show. And my men and I have got nothing to do but sit on our asses all day. It's damn frustrating.
I could take care of your deathclaw problem. I hope he doesn't call my bluff. There is no way I can solve any problem, let alone a deathclaw problem. I just want to maintain a tiny bit of dignity.
Have you ever seen a deathclaw? They're taller than a man and far, far stronger and faster. And there's a whole pack of them out there. You'd have to be the meanest, toughest, roughest bastard in the wasteland to have any chance against them, and I don't think that's you.
Oh, this guy sees right through me. He knows I'm built like a wet noodle. Why couldn't they have a teddy bear problem? Why does it have to be deathclaws? I need to get out of this conversation before embarrassing myself even more. Okay, I still need to figure out where the hell I am. My Pip-Boy says I'm in Sloan. At least I didn't stray too far away during my escapade. I'll take a minute here to see if I can grab a bite to eat, or take a quick nap before moving on. The moment I step into their mess hall, a woman accosts me at the door.
Let me ask you a question. What's the tastiest thing you've ever eaten?
What the fuck? Can I get a simple hello at least? I guess anything that wasn't made 200 years ago.
Yeah, can you believe some people still eat that stuff? Anyway, I've got this recipe for a deathclaw omelet that I've been itching to try out. Trouble is, I need a deathclaw egg. Kinda obvious, I suppose.
Are you f***ing kidding me? Is this a universe's way of punishing me? To lead me here and have a bunch of judgy strangers prod me into fighting a 15-foot tall killing machine? Maybe there is someplace I can just buy a deathclaw egg for her? Okay, I'll bite. Where can I find a deathclaw egg?
The quarry just north of here is full of death claws, so there's bound to be an egg or two in there somewhere.
May, where did you come up with this recipe anyway?
My great-aunt Rose ran a bed and breakfast back in California, in a town called Modoc. She's the one who created the recipe in the first place. I don't know how she managed to get a hold of a female deathclaw, but she kept it in a shed. Aunt Rose had a steady supply of eggs for her omelets. At least, she did until some stranger came along and killed the deathclaw, shot it right in the eye.
Is this some sick, twisted game she came up with to mess with people? Like a siren song luring men to their doom? You'd have to be an idiot to walk into a deathclaw nest. And for what? To impress a woman and get some recipe? Well, you know what? Chomps Lewis doesn't think I have the mettle to handle a couple of beefed up lizards. And Jas Wilkins needs eggs for her grandma's recipe. I'll show you. I'll show all of you. I'll walk right into that hellscape and pull out an egg. Then you'll all be sorry for doubting me. And into the dusty Mojave morning I went. I still have loads of dynamite left over from my skirmishes with powder gangers. Each one I killed bore gifts of boomsticks that would come in handy against these deathclaws. At least I hope. I have a feeling that plinking them to death with my pistol isn't gonna cut it. The workers of Sloan were huddled in their barracks beds, enjoying restful slumber as I headed up the road into Deathclaw City. Signs were erected to stop someone from doing exactly this. Warning, Deathclaws ahead. I have a disrespectful amount of alcohol in my system and a fistful of dynamite, so naturally I ignored the signs. I kept to the cliffside where the Deathclaws couldn't reach me with their pointy claws and gnashing jaws. Their one weakness is their inability to use guns, making their attacks useless at range. As long as I keep my distance, I should be fine. The only problem is they're not as stupid as I thought. Once they realize they can't rip me apart, they run away to spare themselves gruesome dynamite death. I poked further into the quarry, hoping to catch them by surprise. But they were well prepared for a naked man with explosives running aimlessly into their nest. One misstep and I will careen down to the scorched earth and be devoured by the hellish beasts below. So with no way to proceed, I'm just gonna leave. There's no shame in forfeiting here. If there's one thing I learned, it's to pick my battles out here in the Mojave. If I am too weak, too drunk, or too scared, I have no problem throwing in the towel until such a time that any of those factors change. But there is absolutely no way I'm going back to Sloan and looking Chomps Lewis or Jas Wilkins in the eyes. I can't bear the weight of them knowing I'm exactly as much of a coward as they thought. I headed east, avoiding Sloan, towards the massive Black Mountain. I've heard horror stories of the sorts of monsters lurking up there, but there's a shack at its base that has seen better days. But at least there's a bed. Somewhere to take a quick nap and gather my faculties before venturing further. The sun has risen on another beautiful day. I mercifully decide to put my pants back on after a long night. I can't go back into the Deathclaw's nest. I can't go back into Sloan with all those judgmental eyes. So I'll just wander in the only direction I won't be viciously torn apart, metaphorically or otherwise. I encounter the mangled chain-link fence of an abandoned military installation, being guarded by a battalion of bark scorpions, with their sand-colored exoskeletons wriggling across the desert ground, with pincers at the ready. Despite what any animal rights organizations might plead, I fed them a robust diet of dynamite and continued my advance onto their land. Take that, you creepy, crawling bastards. Out of an abundance of curiosity, I entered one of the bunkers dotted across the military base. As far as I can tell, they are abandoned and empty. Or at least their contents are sealed off from the world until such a time that whomever or whatever is inside decides it wants to be found. Hello? Nothing. The door is locked, no way inside, and nothing to loot. I guess I better get out of here. A rocky maze of chasms lies before me, a meandering path to parts unknown. The explorer within me yearns with a sense of discovery, intrigued by the unknown. Oh, what the entire holy fuck are those? Some inhuman monsters pitter-patter their horrifying flesh towards me, spitting bile from their mouths. They seem to be pouring out from a nearby crater, almost as if they are protecting it, begging any travelers to leave them alone. Their faces carry an expression of pain and anguish. It's almost as if they aren't asking me to leave. Instead, they want me to end their suffering. Only it's the curse of radiation. Science gone wrong, fucking black magic witchcraft, or whatever terrifying supernatural force turned them into this thing that makes them attack me. And I'm a people pleaser by nature, so I abide. And I rain dynamite hellfire onto the creatures from the high ground, ending their misery with a bang. They are led by Mo, the only one of them to have a name I would recognize. Nothing about Mo stands out from the rest. But what's in the crater? What's so special about this hole in the ground that this hellspawn sought to protect it? It could be nothing. Maybe it's just the first place Mo decided he can settle down and live out his centaur days, until a zombie courier drunk off his gourd comes along and puts a stick of dynamite in his ass. Inside Mo's hole are the corpses of his victims in varying states of decay, including heavily armored badasses donning a Brotherhood of Steel emblem. The bodies are still fresh and untouched. As badly as I want to wear their armor, I lack the skills. Only a fool would think he can take on the worst of the Mojave with just a handgun and a dwindling supply of dynamite. So this laser rifle will be handy for those pesky ranged targets. Welcome to the future, Rick Whiskey. And better still is this power fist that I found on one of the BOS bodies. This should allow me to get up close and personal with my enemies. At least it makes aiming a bit easier, and I won't have to worry about running out of bullets. My hands are bullets now. Interesting, there's a mission holotape on one of the paladins. It reads, Mission code CB-03, temporary password, the better part of valor. Summary, Paladin Hughes and Fairbanks, I need you two to head north to the nearby communications array and look for the components mentioned in the briefing. The mutants there have been reasonable in the past and may prove useful. Signed, McNamara. I don't know where the Brotherhood of Steel was hiding, but they sent these guys north to search for some technology. That must mean that they're nearby to the south, which just happens to coincide with the military base I just passed through. Could they maybe be inside one of those bunkers? Perhaps if I deliver the news that their paladins were killed in action, they'll let me join them? Be friends with them? Friends are hard to come by out here in the wasteland. And who better to have on your side than a bunch of roided out tin cans with laser weapons? The worst they can say is no, right? I guess they could also just blast me into superheated dust that some lowly cadet has to sweep up, but it's worth a try. You miss 100% of the friendships you don't take. I went door to door once again, shouting into the intercom system, hoping for a reply. Hello? Anyone there? I tried using the password in the holotape. The password is the better part of valor? A voice calls out from the other end.
Stay where you are. I'm sending someone up to meet you.
Bingo, friendship incoming. A squadron of massive dudes spills out from the bunker door.
Listen very closely and do as I say. Your life depends on it. Hand over everything you're carrying. Weapons, ammo, clothes, armor, everything. I want you stripped down to your underwear.
What's going on here?
I've told you what to do. Strip off your clothes and equipment or face summary execution. Will you comply?
Okay, I'll comply, Dick.
Take it all off and hand it to me. Then come inside and through the door at the rear of the chamber. Paladin Ramos is waiting for you.
Before I knew it, I was once again naked in front of a bunch of men who thought I was weak and inferior.
Where did you learn that password? And tell the truth, because I'll know if you're lying.
I found some of your people dead out in the waste. They had it on them.
An interesting story. It may even be true. Under normal circumstances, your story wouldn't make any difference. You'd be dead already. Lucky for you. Probably. Elder McNamara wants to meet you, so follow me, closely, or you'll be killed.
Well, looks like I passed their test. Just have to sweet-talk their leader, and I'm in. Elder McNamara, the Brotherhood of Steel's leader, sits at his desk, awaiting my arrival.
I've been informed that you bring us ill tidings, stranger. Care to elaborate?
I found one of your patrols out in the waste. Your men are dead.
That is horrible news. And I thank you for making your way here to convey it to us. But now, the issue remains that an outsider knows our location. You took an extreme risk in coming here. My policy toward trespassers has not been lenient. The security of this bunker is my foremost concern, and I take pains to minimize our exposure topside. However, given our circumstances, I'm willing to work with you. We need someone who can accomplish certain tasks, some basic, some a bit more involved. Let's start with the first task. An NCR ranger has begun to set up posts near our location. I want you to deal with him.
It looks like the Brotherhood of Steel has been hiding for a while and is desperate for ways to impart their will on the surface without exposing themselves. They got just the right guy for the job. I can take care of the Ranger.
Very well. I'll be interested to see how thoroughly and efficiently you carry out your mission. Paladin Ramos will escort you to the surface.
I mean, how hard can that be? It's just some schlubby NCR Ranger.
You are not free to carry the secret of this bunker's location beyond Hidden Valley until I'm convinced that you are capable and dependable. To make sure you follow through with this, you'll be fitted with an explosive collar. Wander off, and it will detonate. Focus on your mission, and you'll be fine.
What the fuck? I didn't sign up for this. What have I got myself into?
You'll find your equipment in the chest to your right. Don't bother coming back until you've dealt with the Ranger.
Dick. Well, here goes nothing. I'll just grab my stuff and head out there to get rid of an NCR Ranger. No big deal. On the surface once again, the Ranger is hanging out on the outskirts of Hidden Valley, totally unaware that he is sitting on top of an entire chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel. Maybe he can be reasoned with, convinced to leave without issue or tipping him off to the Brotherhood's whereabouts. If not, I'll have to resort to more violent measures.
Thought you'd sneak up on me? You filthy powder ganger?
Whoa, holy shit, chill. I'm not a powder ganger.
Exactly what a powder ganger would say. Any last words before I pull the trigger?
What the hell do you want from me? Do I have to show you my I'm not a powder ganger ID? I'm not a powder ganger. I can't let him know that I'm actively shitting my pants right now.
Relax, son. Just pulling your leg. What can I do for you?
Ooh, this guy's f***ing crazy. Who are you?
Dobson's my name. I'm an NCR Ranger. Operating out of Camp McCarran, north of here. Reading man by birth, though.
What are you doing here?
Well, I thought I might set up a safe house in one of the bunkers here. Between the remote location and the dust storms, figured it was ideal. Of course, it seems a lot less remote since you showed up. Plus, I haven't been able to get my radio working. That safe house isn't good without one. I reckon I'll stick around for a while. Patrol for troublemakers. See if I can get that radio working.
This seems like a bad location for a safe house.
Oh? And in your expert opinion, why would that be?
I didn't think this far ahead. Shit, I was hoping he would just leave. Not sure, just feels bad.
Well, I'll take that under advisement.
Ooh, this guy's good. So no one knows you're here?
Standard practice. Rangers operate alone. That's how we like it. Usually, we call in our positions to McCarran. And this gets sent out to other Rangers. I haven't been able to do much with this broken radio. But I can handle myself. Still, it'll shorten my stay here if I can't fix it.
Interesting. So if, say, a drunk courier were to punch you to death with a power fist, no one would ever know?
Yeah. See you later.
Look out for the right hook, Dobson. It may seem unbecoming of an upstanding courier to sucker punch a man with a hydraulic fist, but you don't get very far in the wasteland without getting a little dirty every now and then. Without much fuss, I cleared the Brotherhood's Ranger problem. It's time to report back to Elder McNamara with the good news that I'm exactly as capable and dependable as he thought.
How did you deal with the Ranger?
The Ranger won't be a problem. He's dead. Super dead.
How do you know he won't be missed? Or that other Rangers won't come looking for him? I never told you to kill him.
He told me himself that no one knew where he was.
Indeed he did. The collar includes a microphone, you see. Part of the test. If you told him about our location, you would have compromised the Brotherhood and, well, we would not have this conversation. Given the circumstances, termination was the best option. So your actions demonstrated loyalty, good judgment, and prowess in combat. Since you completed your assigned task, I will allow you to come and go from the bunker freely. So let's get that collar off you. Yeah, that's better, I hope. Now that we have that bit of unpleasantness out of the way, there's a matter I would like to discuss with you. Stop by the command room when you can. Oh, and bear in mind, if you end up betraying us, we will know it.
Oh good, they took the collar off. I was beginning to think they would turn me into their surface peasant, toiling away in the fields of their whims and fancies. They've given me access to their base, allowing me to come and go as I please. I am the only person with that level of freedom, which is a surprising amount of trust to give to a guy who just showed up. But it does show this friendship is starting to take off. Elder McNamara wants to see me in his office, but I'll take a moment to check the place out. They have a firing range where I can let off some steam after a long day of whatever you call the thing I do. Senior Scribe Schuler is their resident medical doctor. Oh, finally, there's a professional who can work on me, so I don't have to keep shoving Stimpack needles into my arm.
Hello there.
I'm hurt. I need help, Doc.
Oh, my steel. I haven't seen wounds like these since Helios. I've got to get you treated quickly.
It seems that fighting bark scorpions, Moe and his cronies, and an NCR ranger will lead to some nasty injuries.
This might take a while. Close your eyes and try to relax. And we'll begin.
Her voice is both somehow oddly soothing and deeply ominous, wrapped in the uncanny valley. Deeper in the facility, Scribe Ibsen, the man tasked with maintaining the terminal systems here in the base, is struggling to corral a virus they got from some pre-war tech they uncovered.
Look, this isn't a great time. Oh, what the hell? It's not like we're making any progress. I'm Ibsen, and I hope your day is going better than mine is.
Something wrong?
Yeah, I'm in charge of keeping this data system up and running, but accessing it is a little, touch and go at the moment.
Why's that?
One of our exploratory patrols, back when we had exploratory patrols, found a data disk in some ruins out in the waste. Well, we finally got around to cataloging the damn thing and got shut out of our own data store the second it loaded. Turns out it had a virus on it.
A virus?
Yeah, some pre-war jackass with too much time on his hands apparently decided to inflict his misery on those around him. It's scrambling all the terminals here at the moment. Luckily, we only use this section for storing historical data.
Anything I can do to help?
I suppose it couldn't hurt to get another pair of eyes on this. Maybe you'll be able to come up with something coming at it fresh. While the entire system is infected, the virus itself is spread across 3 terminals. The problem is that it keeps moving periodically. We'll have it nailed down in a terminal or 2, only to have it jump to another set of terminals before we locate the 3rd.
What do I need to do?
You'll need to locate it on 3 different terminals in this area in 1 minute. Any longer and it'll jump, and you'll have to start all over. Locating the virus would probably be nearly impossible, but the pompous little bastard that wrote it made things a little easier for us. Normally, terminals infected by the virus just display gibberish, but we found that terminals the virus moved to had some real data passed to them. We were able to decrypt the data and discovered that it was just messages from the virus's writer taunting his victims. When you find terminals with those messages, lock them down and move on. Find 3 of them before the virus jumps, and we'll wipe the damn thing.
I'll give it a try then.
Best of luck to you. I'll tell the others to take a break so they don't get in your way. Oh, and I'll keep track of when it jumps for you. To maximize your chances, wait for my signal before you begin.
I have no idea what I'm doing, and this virus was created by someone who thinks pranking someone with puzzles is a good way to go. What a dork. Why is the Brotherhood trusting me to slap my grubby paws all over their sensitive equipment? And wouldn't this be easier if they had multiple people searching for the virus instead of making me run around like a moron to isolate this stupid virus? Whatever, I'll see what I can do. After more attempts than I cared to admit, I was able to isolate the virus and serve it up to Scribe Ibsen to purge from their system.
You actually did it! If you don't mind my saying so, I didn't think you had a chance in hell of pulling it off. But I'm glad to be wrong for once.
Hey, fuck you, man. Apparently I know more about computers than you do.
Thank you, my friend. Please feel free to access the data store at your leisure. I'm only allowed to give you access to non-classified topics, but it's better than nothing, right?
My reward is I get to read their data storage? Boring. Later, dweeb. I've had enough fun checking out the sights and sounds of the Brotherhood's bunker. I think now it's time I talk to Elder McNamara about the important matter he wanted to discuss with me.
When you first came here, I'll admit, I didn't know what to expect. But after giving the matter some thought, I believe an outsider would be of great help to us. I will not force you to help us. Should you refuse, you will be granted access to leave this complex. There is much the Brotherhood can offer. What do you say, outsider? Are you willing to help us?
I'll help you.
Then allow me to explain our situation. This bunker is currently locked down, allowing no entry or exit, you being one of the very few exceptions. In exceptional cases, teams are sent out to investigate sites or to retrieve materials deemed too important to ignore. 3 such teams have gone missing. Up until now, we haven't disclosed this information. I need you to find out what's happened with those 3 patrols.
I'll begin looking immediately.
I'm glad I can count on you. Oh, and one other thing. The patrols each had a holotape. These holotapes had information regarding their mission, and you can use these to track them. The shielding of the bunker prevents us from actively tracking them, but the position should show on your map once you reach the surface. Should our worst fears become realized, please bring me each of the holotapes from all 3 patrols. Otherwise, bring our brothers home. I've given the order that you be given access to some of our equipment. You still won't be able to purchase any prohibited equipment, but hopefully some of what's available will prove useful for you.
Sweet. I have access to Brotherhood equipment, and I don't have to pry it off their bodies to get it. As I head back down the hallway towards the exit, I am stopped by Head Paladin Hardin.
So, you're the outsider that's been given leave to wander around freely. Desperate times call for desperate measures, I guess. Name's Hardin. I'm the head paladin of this chapter, and I think we might be able to help each other out. I don't know what the Elder talked to you about, but I can tell you this chapter is in trouble. And he's at the center of it. Are you willing to listen to what I have to say?
Why should I trust you?
Why should you trust the Elder? I'd recommend listening to both of us, and choosing whom to trust for yourself. So are you willing to listen?
Shit, touche. Sure, go ahead.
As you may have already heard, this entire base is under a state of lockdown. No one goes out except small patrols at night. Most of the chapter has been sealed in here for years. And those few who were outside when the lockdown was initiated are forbidden from returning. Morale has plummeted as time has gone by, and many of our current paladins haven't seen combat outside of training simulations. And all because of the Elder's explicit order that no one be allowed in or out. The only way things will change is if a new Elder is installed.
Have you tried bringing this up with the Elder yourself?
Of course I have, many times in fact. The Elder has an open-door policy and will listen to advice on any subject save this one. He refuses to see that our isolation is slowly weakening us. Aside from being our duty, going out on missions is what kept us strong. And because he fails to see that, he must be replaced.
And I suppose you'd nominate yourself.
I would. I'm the senior-most paladin in the chapter, and have more combat experience than any 2 others here put together. I'd gladly support another candidate, but no one has the courage to step forward and make the attempt, so it falls to me. I would put this chapter back on the right path, if I could just assume leadership.
How do you propose that?
I don't know. I've gone through our records dozens of times looking for a precedent regarding the dismissal of an Elder and come up with nothing. The people who are most likely to know how it could be done are also some of McNamara's strongest supporters, so they refuse to help me, which is why we're having this conversation. An outsider such as yourself would arouse less suspicion asking questions about such matters. The fact that the Elder has some tasks for you means his faithful won't suspect you, and you have a line open to the man himself. In short, you're in a perfect position to help me. Will you at least think about it?
How am I already involved with Brotherhood of Steel political drama? I just got here, and now I have to sort out their issues? What do I get out of this?
If I become Elder, the lockdown will be lifted, and we'll once again be able to send patrols out into the wastes. We'll become powerful again. And when that happens, it will be good to have the Brotherhood as an ally. Good enough?
I don't know much about the Brotherhood. This relationship is still at first base, as it were, but what I'm hearing from Head Paladin Hardin is a sentiment shared by much of this chapter. The Brotherhood is losing its strength and morale by stuffing itself into this bunker and hiding from the world. This is a proud organization that is slowly losing its edge. Their steel is dull. I'll see about learning more and pursuing a change that is desperately needed. And I want to be the agent of chaos. I'll see what I can do.
That'll have to do. I'd recommend going to see Ramos first. As head of security, he's more familiar with our protocols than anyone else here. You could also try to find something relevant in our data store, though last I heard Scribe Ibsen is having a bit of a problem accessing it. And if McNamara should give you any tasks, I'd ask that you kept me abreast of them. Report anything you find to me, and we'll move from there.
I'm just gonna go in guns blazing. What would an Elder have to do to get kicked out?
So you've been talking to Hardin, eh? He's been looking for a way to usurp McNamara ever since the lockdown started. Don't get me wrong, he's a good man. But Elder McNamara has done all right by us. If it weren't for him, none of us would have survived at Helios. I'll tell you what I told Hardin. There have been only a few cases of Elders being dismissed from their posts in the Brotherhood's history. And those involve crimes that someone like Elder McNamara is just not capable of. You can look it up for yourself if you want. I'll grant you access to that portion of the history section of our data store. See Senior Scribe Ibsen about accessing it.
Paladin Ramos is strangely forthcoming with his information. Either he thinks I'm far too incompetent to make any progress on this front, or he secretly wants to help. Ramos unlocked the data store entry on dismissed elders, so I'll go downstairs and see if I can glean anything from it. And it reads, "Let it be recorded that on this day, Raymond Lorne was dismissed from his post as elder for committing the crime of murder. Brother Lorne was known to have hostile feelings towards the victim, Senior Scribe Ritter. The guilty part insists that Ritter's death was a tragic case of friendly fire. The bunker was under attack at the time, but the tribunal felt that they could not let him persist as elder with such suspicion hanging over him. Head Scribe Busick." That's probably not relevant. The next one reads, "Be it known that from this day, Kenneth Jones shall no longer bear the title of elder. Brother Jones has willfully gone against the chain that binds and has been forced to step down. Head Paladin Linquist succeeds him as elder. Head Scribe Morgan." Interesting, that may prove useful, but I'll need to learn more about this chain that binds. The last incident reads, "Let the record show that I have stood witness to the dismissal of David James from the post of elder. Brother James was charged with destroying an unknown device recovered from a recent expedition. The purpose and function of the device remain unknown, and Brother James has thus far proven unwilling to discuss the matter with anyone. It's Scribe Talwyn." I don't think this one's any good.
Oh, hey there. Something I can help you with?
One of the data store entries mentioned the chain that binds. What is that exactly?
That's an old principle that's been around since the Brotherhood was founded. It basically means that you have to obey a superior officer. It's pretty much common sense, but it gets invoked a lot when people get pissy about following orders. If you're curious, I'll give you access to the data store entry on it. You'd probably be the first to read it in years, if not decades.
Great, more reading. Political espionage is way lamer than I thought it would be. The terminal entry about the chain that binds reads, "The chain that binds is the cornerstone of our organization, the rock that supports the great tree of the Brotherhood and its myriad branches. It holds that 1. Orders are to flow from on high down through the ranks. An order from a superior must always be obeyed, that their wisdom may be carried out without hesitation. 2. Orders are to observe the flow and not skip ranks. A superior may only give orders to his direct subordinates, and not those beneath them. In this way, harmony of intent and cohesion of thought is maintained." Paladin Ramos didn't mention that second part of the chain that binds. No one has read this in decades, so it's not surprising that maybe the way they've taught it to others would have become a game of telephone where each time it's presented, it loses a little bit of meaning, until it gets to the point that the entire second section of the protocol was forgotten. But now I need to figure out how that can be used against Elder McNamara. Head Paladin Hardin will know what to do with this information.
What is it, Outsider? Have you discovered anything?
Do you know anything about the chain that binds?
I could hardly call myself Head Paladin if I didn't. It's one of the first things every initiate learns when they start training. What about it?
One of the few times an Elder was dismissed was due to it.
I could be wrong, but I think that's a dead end. McNamara's always followed orders, and we've been incommunicado since fleeing Helios.
Did you know there's a second part to it?
Second part? What are you talking about?
It says a superior is not allowed to give orders to men under his subordinate.
That is the standard procedure, yes. For example, McNamara gives orders to Head Scribe Taggart, who then relays further orders to the scribes. I wasn't aware that failing to do so was punishable, however. Interesting. If we can just find an instance where McNamara went around someone and gave orders to their subordinates, we'll have him.
Okay, that's easy. I just need to play along with the Elder until he messes up. Or we discover a time he already has. Finding those lost patrols will be the first step in that effort. The lost patrols are scattered across the Mojave Wasteland. I found one of them, but to get to the others is going to require traveling long distances. Something I'm simply incapable of doing right now. I must gather my strength and experience and build myself up in preparation. Besides, I still have a man in a checkered suit to go after. I'll have to put the Brotherhood of Steel on hold for the time being. It's not like they're going anywhere. This was a fruitful outing, though, where I became friends with the Brotherhood of Steel and found a wealth of useful gear that will be invaluable as my travels continue deeper into the Mojave towards the glitz and glamour of the Strip. Next time, for real, my next stop is Nipton. I'm sure my drinking won't cause me to wake up pantsless and Sloan again. Maybe. Find out next time on the adventures of Rick Whiskey.